Hello and welcome to Art Abandonment Adventures. This is video number 44 of the Spreading Awareness series. In this video I will be creating an art piece for the collection Gastroparesis Fight series number 8, Gastroparesis Brave Warriors. These are images of the frame that will be customized in this part 3 of the Creation Day series. Step number 1, prime the frame. In this step I used a white matte acrylic to completely prime the entire front and sides of the frame. It is very important in this step that the finished layer of prime is very smooth, so you might have to put 1 or 2 coats on to make sure that you get one smooth coat, because the frame is actually a very slick material. After the piece is completely primed, I let it dry completely before moving on to step number 2, which was painting the base colors. For the frame, I actually utilized 3 different shades of yellow, a very bright yellow on the main part of the frame, a very pale yellow in the inside edge, and then I mixed the 2 together to give me the 3rd color that I painted around the edge of the frame. The reason that I chose yellow for the color of the frame is because yellow is the 2nd color that is part of the Gastroparesis Digestive Tract Paralysis ribbon. I use different shades of yellow because what it stands for is the bright future, always drawing us closer to a cure from the disease of gastroparesis and other digestive tract paralysis diseases. By utilizing the white base coat, I did not have to add multiple layers of the yellow. I only had to do fill-ins if there were parts that were not as bright as others, or if there was any spot a white portion was showing through. You will need to make sure that the paint is completely smooth when you get finished. This is a 16 by 20 frame, so if there's bubbles or if there's smears, you'll be able to see it. So that is the main thing that you're going to come back to, is just making sure that all the paint is smooth as it can be on all sides of the frame. After I completely finished painting the frame on the front and the sides, I let the paint completely dry before moving on to step number 3, which was writing on the frame. Here's a little trick that you can use if you're going to be writing words on a large piece and you want to make sure that it's very legible. Take and print out whatever you want on a computer paper. So on this, I want a Gastroparesis Warrior. You're going to cut that out. You're going to take a pencil and you're going to fill in the back of the paper with as much lead as you can. Then you're going to take and put the piece of paper onto the frame or other item that you want the words written. Then you're going to take and use a soft edge. For example, I'm using a large dotting tool and trace out the words. When it's finished, you will actually have a very legible written words that you can now paint. After I finished writing the words onto the frame, I moved on to step number 4, which was customizing the frame. In this step, I used different shades of green to add a dot pattern around the top and edges of the frame. I am using the simple dotting technique, which is just one dot in a line. You can do like flowers, you can move things around in different images, you can put dots upon dots, but since the item that I'm framing is made with lots of different beads of different sizes and shapes and patterns, I didn't want to take away from it by making the frame lots of different patterns. So that's the reason I chose a very simple technique when it came to customizing. And by utilizing the green, it actually allows for the piece in the inside to kind of blend in much better. After I finished dotting the entire piece, I let the paint dry and then moved on to step number 5, which is painting the back and signing the piece. I used a black acrylic matte paint to completely paint the entire back of the frame black. After it dried, I came back and wrote my pseudonym T.S. Art in the year of creation 2020. You do not need to sign any pieces that you do as art abandonment. For me, I do use my pseudonym on everything, but especially a large piece like this. I want the people to be able to find me if they do go report about it on the Facebook Art Abandonment group. there's a lot of people that'll make the comment of TSR, and then I'll know, oh, they found this piece. And so it's just a way for me to be able to find those stories so that I can share them with you all. And the person that finds them will kind of get to know more about the story, because they can link to other items that have been created by me because of my pseudonym. After signing the piece and letting the paint completely dry, I will then move on to step number 6, which is clear coat. For the clear coat on this piece, I used a gloss clear, and it is a spreadable clear that I added sequins, which were green and yellow. Now, I didn't put sequins in the finish for the back of the frame, because this is really a piece that's going to be hung on a wall. But I did come back and clear the back of the frame also, especially that's where the signature for the piece is going to be. One of the big things to remember is to spread out the clear in a thin way, and you'll notice that it is a white clear when it's going down, but it does dry completely clear, and it'll have a very shiny gloss, and the sequence will shine through after the entire piece dries. You can come back if you need to add clear in any section if it doesn't look as glossy, or if it doesn't look like it hit a certain area. I kind of like these clears having that white tint when it's first going down, because it's easier to see the layers to make sure that they're even. You will need to let the clear dry in between the front and the back coat. After the back clear dries completely, then I moved on to step 7, which was attaching the beads. Since the majority of the large print that I will be using the frame for is beads, I did want to include a few on the outside of the frame, so I put some animals across the top edge. I made a palm tree for the middle of the bottom, and then these stacked beads that I placed around the edge. So it's a very simple addition, but it does connect the frame with the piece itself. I did utilize E6000 to glue the pieces onto the frame, and you'll notice that for the palm tree, I am running a eye hook pin in the glue, and then going to put the beads and then twist the end of the eye pin so that it will all be connected, and I can glue it as one piece instead of 3 separate pieces. Once the glue is dried, the piece is now finished and ready to be abandoned. In the next video of this series, I'll be showing the finished large art piece plus the smaller pieces that will all be abandoned for this series. If you have liked what you've seen, push the like button, leave a comment, and follow. And remember to stand united until all are equal.